Mm. Ooh, I'm a cry. Hey y'all, my name is Patrick. This is the Fish. Welcome. So today we're doing the heart chakra. I can't go back and change time. So it would have been really cute if these could have been done by August 1, but they'll be done in time for the Lionsgate portal, and that's what's important, I guess. So today I'm using the Magical Dimensions Oracle Cards and Activators, again, the Ascendant edition of the Weaver Tarot, and the Journeyman edition of the Weaver Tarot. And I actually have this in the center, and this, like, you can see this is where the light hits anyway, so it would probably make sense, right? Because if I just do this, you can see that. Is that the Magi? Girl, it is the Magi. Or maybe they just want to show up today. They like, we here. Now, I don't want to put this half of the deck back in reverse. So, yeah, we're going to make... Ooh! The Ace of Swords is at the bottom of the deck. I already shuffled these a little bit, but we're going to shuffle them up a little bit more. Man, I feel like that is a prime spot for these cards. Well, you can still kind of see them over here. We got a little bit of shadow running. You know what? We already started, so we just gonna keep it the same. We could change it up. Ice Queen! Ice Queen and Magical Realms at the cut. I love the Ice Queen in this deck. I've only seen her like 3 times. I've read her like once on here, maybe twice. I'm listening to a different playlist today. Because I told my phone, I was like, Siri, play Peaceful Meditations on Spotify. And Siri was like, playing Peaceful Waves. I was like, okay, well, we're just going with it today. And they're actually playing, and I'm telling you, but it's a certain rendition of it that's very like piano and so soothing. But girl, that's why I was like, ooh, kind of got me in my feelings a little bit. Still ain't finished this assignment, even though it's practically done. I've been just like, usually I'd be like, I don't know I guess maybe it's the Lionsgate event's open. I don't know what it is, but I've just been so tired lately. And I've been staying up like later, waking up still around like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Which is interesting because sometimes I won't go to bed till 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6. And I'm still waking up like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I don't know. It's like, I guess I'm not tired. And as soon as I get out of bed, I'm fine. I guess it's just one of those phases where I'm not going to be sleeping much. And I've been resting as, just trying to listen to my body. So we're actually not going to take anything because I know exactly what we're going for. But I do want to see what's at the bottom after I get this heart portal. And that's why I'm just like shuffling these in. I had another dream last night that was related to some kind of like some kind of competition, but it was done like over. Ooh. Yeah, we ain't changing that because I like that way too much. We got forgiveness at the bottom of the deck. Hold on, wait, what would it have been? And it would have been emotional freedom. So either way, because like if I would have done it the way I do it sometimes, where I like put these down like that, behind it was illumination. Illumination and emotional freedom were around the heart portal, and then forgiveness is the bottom of the deck, and that is too powerful to pass up. So forgiveness is number 16, which would be the tower. If we, take that number over, it's redemption, rebirth, and regeneration. So the 3 Re's: redemption, rebirth, regeneration of this heart chakra. And I love it because I feel like the heart is a muscle, right? I think. Like I said, I only took anatomy for like a week and then I dropped it. Excuse me. But if you don't use a muscle, like, it can atrophy, right? And so it's like maybe the heart atrophied in some ways. And maybe it was fated to happen. But this sort of rebirth and regeneration is also fated to happen because as the heart is born again in these times, it is more susceptible to the new that is going to be coming. Now, I think the heart works both ways, so I'm not sure which one I want to use as more or lesser aligned. Oh goodness. Circle of life. That's what this is. Oh, you'll be in my heart. I'm done. You'll be in my heart just came on. What is this playlist? It's all like soft piano. I'm like, girl, in the heart portal. You'll be in my heart. These cards just tried to fall. They tried to go overboard. The bottom of the deck is the Three of Swords, interestingly enough. So this is going to be more aligned for me. Because if we're starting, girl, see, now y'all don't want to show up. Like, oh, hello. Give me the light. Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. The Three of Swords. That is more than three. Hold up. It's the six. That's the Six of Swords. Why did I think it was this three? So we got the Six of Swords at the bottom of this deck. And I'm still going to take this as the more aligned. Then we got the Ace of Swords. Y'all can't see none of these. Ace of Swords, the Eight of Wands, and the Two of Wands. So there's some brand new information that has the ability to propel us just straight into our futures. But it's going to require a dream is a wish your heart makes. Girl, work. Work. Come on, heart. Okay, so Spotify knew what it was doing. Hold on, wait. There you go. Y'all don't need to see my notifications. A dream is a wish your heart makes. Y'all probably can't see it. Maybe. But that's what's playing right now. And again, it's all piano instrumental. Da, 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 so yeah, there's something coming in that has the ability to really propel us into the space that we want to be in, but it's going to require sort of that decision. I feel like there was this place that we wanted to reach, and we're going to be getting there, but maybe not necessarily in the way that we initially thought that we would be. And then again, here at the bottom of the deck is the Three of Pentacles. So the thing about the Three of Pentacles, where did the Six of Swords go? I don't know. The thing is, so with the Three of Pentacles, here it is. It's about collaboration and cooperation, right? And so that's another thing about that Two of Wands. It's like maybe we're incorporating something or someone else into the dream. And so our path there, or what it looks like now, has changed or shifted or evolved in some way. I didn't even look and see what cards I'm going to be pulling. And so, but if we incorporate these changes, right, with that Ace of Swords, and if we move forward in that way, we're going to be so supported because it aligns to something greater. And I feel like sometimes in that greater alignment, it's like when it comes to life purpose or mission, sometimes we can look at it as if it's going to be like we're getting deployed or something, right? But it's like it's also for us to enjoy life, right? And I think that's one of the things that we really need to keep in mind. And it's not to necessarily just like go straight up hedonistic, only pursue the things that really make you happy, because growth and challenge is also necessary. And sometimes what would make us the most happy lies on the other side of a door that is guarded by challenge. But as long as you're connected to the heart and you're open and being guided, then, girl, now it's raining. Now it's pouring down mountain stream. What happened to the Disney music? Oh, from the mountain, the blessings will be pouring down from the mountain, girl. That's what we're talking about. Um, what was I saying? Lies on the other side of the door of challenge. Um, there's also going to be happiness and joy and abundance and fulfillment and everything in this life, right? While you're doing your purpose. But that's the thing about that Three of Pentacles. I think it's like, you know, building off of what your initial dream was to make it even bigger and better and more beautiful and expansive than you would have, you know, dreamt in the past. So the heart portal is number 20. This is receptivity, generosity, and mistrusting. Oh, why we get another Six of Coins feeling here? Six of Coins could be receptivity. I mean, I guess that's fine. But receptivity could also be the Two of Cups. Generosity. I haven't used like the suit of air. Well, I guess when we get into the upper chakras, when it comes to like speaking your truth and stuff like that, then that's probably when I'll be more in the air and maybe the fire. I feel like it's been a lot of earth and water so far, and that's fine. Um, let's see. Mistrusting is going to be the Seven of Swords. That's easy. Generosity. So we need a court and a major. Receptivity is the Queen of Cups. That's also easy. So generosity is going to be the Wheel of Fortune. I don't often struggle to find a major. Generosity. The Empress. It could be the Empress, right? Not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily call her like generous though. Like she is, but I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, this is an energy of generosity. Um, man. So what else could be receptivity then? The moon could be receptive. It's like a receptacle for the light of the sun, right? Until it's full and then it pours out and then, you know, it fills back up. And then, but then I would have generosity as a court card. That could be the Queen of Pentacles, but we looked for her already, I believe. The Sovereign of Coins. I guess the Queen of Cups can be generous too. Although, like, generosity isn't what. You know what? We're going to cheat today. And we're going to look at the book and see if any of these say anything about generosity. Because we're going to look at the courts. Because I'm really. This is kind of stumping me today. And I am proud to be stumped at the heart portal. Okay. So we're going to start at the back and then we're going to work our way forward. So the last suit is coins. We're going to go to the ruler and then we're going to work our way up to the seeker. So the ruler of coins is abundance, security, and stability, not necessarily. The sovereign of coins is financial security and nurturing, not necessarily. The seeker, wait, where's the conqueror? The conqueror of coins is grounded, hard work, and routine. Nah. New opportunity, dreams, and innocence is the seeker of coins. No, thank you. So now we're going back to the suit of swords. Intellect, truth, and confidence. Nope. That was the ruler. The sovereign of swords is intellect, strength, and independence. Nope. The conqueror of swords is lacking forethought and ambitious. Nope. The seeker of swords is intellect and curiosity. Nah, I didn't think that would, happen for us, but I looked anyway. The ruler of cups is balance, compassion, and kindness. Compassion and kindness can kind of sort of give that generosity vibe, maybe. Intuitive, kind, and empathetic is the sovereign of cups. The conqueror of cups is romantic, charming, and emotional. And the seeker of cups is curiosity, inspiration, and intuitive. So it looks like this is not giving me the assistance I was looking for. The ruler of wands is control, action, and passion. The sovereign of wands is empowerment, confidence, and warmth. The conqueror of wands is daring, confidence, and growth. And the secret of wands is charisma, courage, and opportunity. So I think we actually are going to go for that pillar energy because the pillar is the empress, and all of the queens have an element of, you know, kindness to them for generosity. Let's see. Nurturing, love, and pleasure is the pillar. Girl, I guess we're going to read through all of these today, y'all. So we look reading through the top three. So the fool is honest, genuine, and curious. The magi is confidence, expertise, and transformation. The high sage is knowing, intuition, and dreaming. The pillar is nurturing, love, and pleasure. The anchor is structure, stability, and leadership. The hierophant is teaching, study, tradition, and dedication. The lovers is deep connection, love, and sacred relationships. The chariot is confidence and knowing. Strength is resilience and determination. The hermit is spending time within the self. The wheel of fortune is cycles, good fortune, and universal force. The justice card is truth, pragmatism, and honesty. The hanged one is let go and surrender. Death is change, loss, and ending. Temperance is balance, neutrality, and patience. The devil is shadow, choice, and illusion. I love that choice is on the devil too. And he has the lovers chained in the card more often than not. So, hey. The tower is collapse, losing foundation, and change. The star is hope, alignment, and happiness. The moon is unknown, intuition, and unconscious. The sun is happiness, optimism, and wholeness. Judgment is authenticity, taking inventory, and honesty. The world is achievement, wholeness, and alignment. So again, none of that helps. Why do I not know what generosity is? It could be the Six of Coins, but I'm using the Seven of Coins for mistrusting. Or the Seven of Swords is mistrusting. And I guess it's interesting that I'm using the Seven of Swords as mistrusting instead of like thievery, trickery, or whatever. Because I feel like sometimes when we're in the energy of mistrusting, we can be Seven of Swordsing ourselves because we're not vulnerable and open to the opportunity or to the opportunity of getting to know someone or whatever, an opportunity, right? Getting to explore an opportunity. That's where we're sort of like, our mistrust can lead to that sort of Seven of Swords. Receptivity, I still want to go with the Queen of Cups, the Sovereign of Cups. So for generosity, man. Oh, what is generosity? Why is this? I don't want to spend like 10 minutes stuck on generosity. Okay, let's break down generosity. Generosity is kind, it's compassion, and it's giving. If someone is very generous, then they're very giving, right? What's a giving energy? The giver is the Six of Coins and the SKT. It's like I can't escape the Six of Coins. And then mistrusting can be the moon. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the Sovereign of Cups for receptivity. We're gonna do the Six of Coins for generosity, and then we're gonna do the Moon card for mistrusting. Because I feel like, you know, it's like we don't fully understand, like with that sort of shroud of mystery, it's like we don't buy into it fully because we don't fully know what's up. So that's what we're going to be doing. And also, I'm going to try to explain stuff less and just go with it because I lose my train of thought in the explanation. So that's something that we're going to be practicing moving forward. So first is the Sovereign of Cups. And again, we're going to use this deck as more aligned, the darker one. And receptivity is the first one, but generosity is the second one. So there's giving and receiving here. But receptivity is first. Actually, you know what? We're going to alternate. We're going to alternate. We're going to say the center of the heart is about receiving. So this is actually going to be interesting. So for receptivity, no, wait, oh gosh, why do I always have to make this so complicated? Not everything has to be complex, right? So for receptivity, this is going to be more aligned because when you accept everything, you give nothing back, right? For generosity, this will be more aligned. And it ain't necessarily for us to give all that we have, but you know, to give in all areas would be this. To receive in all areas would be this. And then for mistrusting, we're going to go back to this because we're alternating. This. Okay, so that's what we're doing. All right. Goodness. I already shuffled these. We just getting into it. Bottom of the deck is this Eight of Swords. Locked up, tied it, tangled it. Followed by the Nine of Cups. And then the Sovereign of Swords. And then Temperance. So the Eight of Swords is that's entrapment. The Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. And then the Sovereign of Swords is the Queen of Swords energy. It's like we see something that we want, but we're not allowing ourselves to get it. And literally all you would have to do to get this thing is say that you want it. Speak and it shall be yours. But that entrapment energy is keeping somebody locked up, tied up, and tangled up when they don't need to be. Everything that you would ever want at the tip of your tongue. All you got to do is speak it. Okay. And again, you know, check the description box for the timestamp if you want to get right into it. The Lovers and the Hermit. Justice and Death. And then the Sun. And then the Devil. And then the Ace of Wands. Oh. Judgment and the Sovereign of Wands. Girl, am I even reading these? I'm looking for the Sovereign of Cups, and she may already be on the table. It is like interesting to try to read these though, because here we go. I don't know. It's like the light is not playing. It's not cooperating today. Even though at the beginning, at the jump, it looked like it would. Maybe I should put these back. Oops. What was that? So the Magi just jumped down right in front of the anchor. And so I feel like before we sort of set up shop, we need to make sure we have ourselves together, at least to the point where we have an operational understanding and foundation in each element, right? So emotions, mental, the physical body, and passions and desires. Before we really sort of try to claim any sort of authority, I guess. Because the anchor is an emperor energy. And it's like, if you don't take all things into account, then you're not going to be a very effective emperor. Your kingdom probably won't last that long. So maybe that's what's going on. Like what Patrick said, that's okay, take your time. I'm wondering if Sovereign of Coins, Sovereign of Cups. Okay, here she go. Goodness, girl, you starting to scare me. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting energy. This is interesting energy. Actually, I kind of sort of really like this. Bottom of the deck is the Hierophant, which is about, you know, like tradition and stuff like that. So I feel like there's something that maybe we wanted in the past. Maybe we gave up on it Maybe it was a case that it wasn't being affirmed in our reality as something that we could have. So again, we gave up on it. But it's like maybe the reason why we never got it is because we were never truly open and receptive to it. And I did just see the full of the cut over here. So let's get into this. Hopefully this will be a little quicker over here. Yup, we're starting with Death and the Sovereign of Cups, girl. She over here, we ready. Oh wow, this is really interesting. This is gonna be really interesting up here. That was quick. So bottom of the deck. I mean, I guess it is that Sovereign of Cups. So now we're gonna be going over to the Six of Coins. Again, I don't know how this is gonna work. Since one side isn't more aligned than the other, but we'll figure it out as we go along. Actually, it's not that complicated. I feel like I'm really trying to overcomplicate things today. And I don't know if it's because it's me or if it's because it's the energy, right? This is super bright. Y'all can't even see nothing. It's been like that for a few days. It's fine. I'm not on OBS right now, so I can't just go in and change the brightness. If I was, then I would. So, yeah. Next, we're looking for the Six of Coins. First card out is the Two of Swords. And now this is unaligned. So this is interesting. Then the Ruler of Coins, and then the Six of Swords. So the Two of Swords, the Ruler of Coins, and the Six of Swords, I feel like someone, again, it's about being fixed on a dream or fixated on something. Either thinking that you will or you won't have it. And when you're fixated on it, you don't allow yourself to be open to getting better than what you asked for. And there are some times when what we ask for isn't what we actually want. This is a lot of majors. Okay, so I'm going to read through these because this was too many majors to not. So before the first major is the Seven of Cups, I believe. No, it's the Eight. What is this? It's the Five, girl. It's the Five. So before all of this is the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups is typically, what is the Five of Cups? The Four of Cups is not receiving something. The Five of Cups is usually sad. Yeah, okay, it's crying over spilled milk. It's about being more focused on the opportunities lost in the past than the ones coming. And again, we started with like the Two of Swords and the Ruler of Coins. And then the Eight of Swords, I believe. No, the Six of Swords. So you have two very fixed energies with the King of Coins and the Two of Swords, but then you have the Six of Swords, which is about fluidity and movement. And then we're starting with this Five of Cups. So again, I was talking about when you don't allow yourself to be open to the ebb and flow of life, it's like you don't allow, basically you're keeping your dreams stagnant, right? And our dreams should be changing and evolving as we change and evolve because our desires change and evolve. And it's not that the end goal will necessarily change and evolve. But along the way, I feel like I said before, we should be allowing ourselves to be open to incorporating different things and expanding that vision, expanding that dream, coming into the fullness of what we actually want. Because when we're in lack spaces and when we're younger, right before we hit certain periods and phases of change and transformation, it's like we have a certain end goal in mind. We have a certain, it's just like if I go about it this way, I'll be happy and I'll get money. And I think that's what the Two of Swords and that Ruler of Coins is about. It's about sort of being dead set on the type of stability that you think will serve you. But with that Six of Swords, I feel like it's about moving forward, but keeping the important things in mind, right? It's like you're keeping a running list of what will actually fulfill you. It's like you're keeping a running list instead of having a set list, right? It's like when you go to the grocery store and if you don't have a shopping list, then you may buy way too much and then you may forget the things that you actually went there for. Speaking as someone who lives in a house where shopping lists aren't a thing. But if you do have a shopping list and you follow it too closely, I feel like you don't allow yourself to expand into you know, whatever else may happen. So let's see, for some reason, you see like dipping Tostitos, tortilla chips, and then you see dip, and you're like, oh, chips and dip, that's not on the list. So I'm not going to buy it. But let's say that, like, if you would have got the chips and the dip, and then you're like, oh, well, if I got chips and dip, I might as well get something to like make a tray out of, maybe a veggie tray, or get some punch or something to make punch with just in case. And then, it just so happens that a friend of yours is in the area, or a few friends of yours are in the area, or for some reason you end up having a spontaneous gathering. Now, instead of having to go out and get stuff, you already got the chips, the dip, the veggie tray, the punch. Like, you already have all of that stuff in preparation. And again, it comes in these little nudges, these little inklings. It is your intuition. But with that two of swords and the ruler of coins, it's like, I don't know if you necessarily have enough room for it to be intuition. I don't know if you have enough room for it to be perceived as intuition on your part, right? It may just be like a nudge. But when you allow yourself that flexibility, you come in with what you want, but you also allow yourself to expand, to leave yourself open to the opportunity of expansion, right? And so that's the thing with this Five of Cups. I feel like there's something that the heart needs to let go of, or the way that it was going to come about. Because we're starting again with this anchor energy, which is about holding it down. And the magician flew out in front of the anchor last time, remember? Because I literally just talked about it. And I was like, we need to make sure we have at least an operating, we need to make sure that we have a foundation in each element that we can at least operate from and build off of. At the very least, yeah, that we can operate from and build off of, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be already structured and everything else. We just need to make sure that the foundation is set and that it's good enough that whatever we build on top of it will stand, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be finite, but just good enough for it to be operational and functional now, right? If we got to renovate and update the building later, that's always a thing. So again, it was like, we need to do that before we come in with this heavy anchor energy. And there's also two swords crossed behind the ram skull. If y'all can see it. Boom, there they are. That two of swords again. It's like you need to allow yourself to be open, but also at the same time, know what you're about. That's what it is. You need to allow yourself to be open, but you also need to know what you're about. And then after that, here we come into this magi energy. Now not trying to precede this anchor. Now it's coming after the anchor. So maybe this time it's about, again, having that strong foundation within you so that anything that you outside of you that you embark upon, you're building that foundation in accordance to the foundation that you already have, so that when you externalize it, you're already set. So it's this internal anchor that comes in before this magician energy that is sort of the operator at the veil, right? Because magician manifesting, making something on the inside manifest outside, using the materials outside to match the vision that you have inside. And then you create this external anchor foundation to build upon in the physical. And so it's like this, the magician and the mirror and the energy oracle card, right? It's like this magician is standing, this magi, this magus, it's only one. Maybe it's a group of people. How is it the magi? I think, is it magi, plural for magus? Anyway, it don't matter. The many within one. That's what this is. It's the many within one. The singular embodiment of a collective or whatever. Why I always get caught up on semantics. But it's like this magician is the mirror between your internal world and your external world. And you want to make sure you have a strong internal foundation before you really start attracting on the outside. And that's the thing about this heart. It's like, I think that's kind of sort of what's tripping me up, because I was used to doing one side is more aligned and another side is less aligned. But when we come to the heart, it's about giving and receiving. It's receptive and it's expressive. It's light and it's dark. It's feminine and it's masculine. It's both. And so it's fluid. It's not static, but I'm trying to apply a static foundation to a fluid energy. And I think, again, it's like, it's complicated, but it's simple. It's like easy to overcomplicate, but also easy to oversimplify. And it's like you don't, it's like a little bit, it's like the bare bones of something, right? It's like being vague, but not so vague that people don't know what to do, right? Like if I tell you, give me just like draw a shape with four sides. Excuse me. And you're like, well, do you want a square? You want a rectangle, like a rhombus, parallelogram? Like what angles are we looking at? Like a diamond? You know, can any of the sides be wavy or do they got to be like straight? It's like that stuff doesn't matter. But a shape with four sides, like you can do, right? It's something like that where it's vague enough that it allows room to grow and expand and differences in interpretation, but it is specific enough that we're like we don't know where to start. Anyway, girl, this one might start like a whole hour in. This is interesting. So then we go from the Magi to the Hanged One, and this Hanged One used to pop out all the time, and so now I feel like there's a sort of bit of a delay between the the inside and the outside. It's like the mirror, and even in the Magician and the Mirror card and the Energy Oracles, it's like in the mirror it's foggy, and you know the more intent you are, the more determined you are, the clearer you are in your vision, the clearer the mirror is, and the closer to fruition. Is this a waterfall? The closer to fruition your thing is. But here, I feel like the fogginess is it's leaving room to be open to cooperate with spirit in the way that gets you where you want to be while also acquiring everything that you need to acquire. And it's taken me back. I sometimes hate how much I speak of my own experiences in these, but it gives me a context to work with. So if your experience is different than mine, just take it as like a context and try to take the energy from the situation and apply it to your own. But it was like, for me, there was a point in time when I got a reading from somebody, and she was like, "You need to do this, and you need to do that, and your ancestors is doing this." And that's when I snapped, and I was like, "You know what? Ancestors asking me to do this, ancestors asking me to do that, but I'm in here. I'm here in this incarnation, cleaning up some of the mess that they left." And that's when I posted the thing. So that was like right before that was May, because I think it was like May 31 or May 2, something, somewhere in May. It may have been on my legacy channel. It might have been here. But it was like that's when I started getting opportunities. And I was like, I need to apologize to the ancestors or whatever. But that's when I reached the spot of like, there are things that I want in this lifetime. And I know that there are things that I need to do. And the thing about a human experience is in the living of it, it is linear, right? We have we're having a linear experience in an environment that is cyclic, quantum, and nonlinear. But now it's like, it's coming to me like this. And I'll try to use the backs of these so they're icebreakers. You can see either way. So this is our linear experience, right? And I'm going to put this down because, hey, now it works that it's this bright because at least I can see it. And these are these different sort of bubbles of reality. And they're cyclic and they're quantum, right? So they're always spinning outside of our own experience. And so it's like, and look, we even see a circle in this heart portal. Nice. Hold up. Let me hold it up. Let me hold it up. See? Thank you. It's like these little tiny confirmations that's like, okay, I'm not rambling and ranting for no reason. So we're running these, but this is our linear experience. But so it's like we can sort of like, as these are spinning, like this is one complete experience and this is another complete experience because our experience is linear, but it's like we can run along these tracks and then switch in. And if I had more than just two, you can imagine that there's more than just two. But we can sort of switch in these different sort of phases, these different bubbles and pockets of reality along our linear experience. And so that's why time is both linear and non-linear. And that's honestly another thing, at least for me, going on right now. With this Gemini North node, I feel like polarity and duality, once we can accept it as something that is, then we can navigate this realm of contradiction in a different way. Human nature, us as humans, we are creatures of contradiction and paradoxes, like I said yesterday. One of the things that just like runs through me and turns my stomach is the sound of like joints popping. I hate it. It unsettles my stomach, and one of my knuckles just popped. Ugh. And I need to be still, my queasy stomach. Okay. And I think that's one of the things that we need to do. So like time is both linear and non-linear. And so where was I going with this? The things that we want to do versus the things that we need to do. And it's not really versus. It's like we can do both. But it's also understanding. For me, I had to accept. I didn't really have to accept it. I just said it because, girl, I'm weird and I'm strange, and I talk to myself and I talk to spirit like all day, right? I was in Walmart or Meijer or some kind of store feeling some type of way because I felt my path taking me away from something that I wanted. And I was not going to have it. I was like, no, this is something that I want. This is something that I'm keeping space for. This is something that I'm fighting for, that I know is, I don't know how it's integrated, but I know it's integrated somewhere in this. And I had to reach the point within myself. And for me, honestly, it was less about arguing with any of the spirit, arguing with the people in the spirit crew, ancestors, spirits, angels, the supreme consciousness. Girl, I argue with all of them. Because at the end of the day, it's like, this is my experience in this lifetime. This is my life. And, you have to honor my free will and my free choice, just like I have to honor the consequences and repercussions that come with that free will and free choice. And so it's like, let's make a deal or no deal, right? Howie, deal or no deal? No deal. Let's come back to the negotiating table. But there's also a sort of, especially for me, and I would caution and warn anyone else, not that it's necessarily my job, but I feel like if I'm over here saying this stuff and other people want to take the same approach, if it ain't for them or if it ain't yet their time to take this sort of approach, I guess I do want to caution that there are, like, I know that there are things in this lifetime that I don't necessarily want to do, that, but I got to do them. And I know that there are things that I have to do that I actually want to do. But it's about keeping a broader sort of context in mind. And so it was like, for me, it was like, I'm prepared to work harder on this path. I'm prepared to go through nights that are a little darker if it means that I can take with me what I want along the path of acquiring what I need. And I think that is that was the space that it was most important for me to reach within myself. Because I feel like in that moment of making that decision clear, it also allowed me, it was kind of sort of a setup, low key. It was kind of sort of a setup, low key, because it's like, he just said he'll do whatever. All right, throw him all the curveballs, man. Accelerate the treadmill 100 times the speed, increase the inclination by 15 levels. He asked for it. But again, I think it was important for me to reach that spot, even within myself, to know that there are things, or to give myself the permission to do this, to maybe instead of doing this, sometimes we can do this. where we run along both paths simultaneously in this linear experience. And that is not imagery that I need on my channel with my immature 5-year-old mind sometimes. But hey, I wouldn't object to any of that in my experience either. Let me stop. I love the sour ones. I was obsessed with the mint ones at first, but then at first I looked at the sour ones. I was like, oh, I don't really want those, but I do want to try new flavor, and I love it. But it's like, again, that comes when we understand duality and polarity and the contradictory nature of this world and of our experience and what it means to be human. It's like then we open ourselves up to the potential of running multiple timelines at once and multiple aspects at once. And it's like instead of, maybe it's an elevation and participation, right? Some people will run the singular timeline the whole time. Some people will switch between multiple timelines. And then other people will run multiple at the same time. And then you can run multiple at the same time and switch, right? And I think that's sort of what this is getting at right now. I don't know why. Oh my gosh, I don't know when I'm actually going to get into this. I might actually stop this, come back live, and then link this in the description box as like, if you want to see me pull out all the cards, check out this video. I may actually do that because it's giving me something good. And so the reason why I say that is because of this whole shopping cart or this shopping list sort of analogy metaphor that we're running with. Because when it comes to the hangman, again, that's the energy of listening to those nudges before you recognize it as intuition or after you recognize it as intuition. It doesn't matter. But it's the energy of listening to those nudges, getting the chips in the dip, and then, the tray, and then the liquids to make the punch, and then this other stuff before you even know that people are coming. Because like I said before, when you acquire all of that, it opens you up to the possibility of having that get together, having that gathering, that reconciliation, that celebration, that whatever, because you prepared yourself for the potentiality of it. And the more preparation you put behind something, the more it becomes a eventuality and less of a potentiality, right? The more it has to happen at some point in time, the more energy you put into it. And I think that's what this hanged one energy is. And that's why I was saying this, because it's like, I was going to say it's like you're doing all the preparation on the internal, but you're not necessarily seeing it on the external yet. And honestly, I don't mind repeating myself because I feel like it's not a straight up repeat. It's like there are some certain mindsets that are very fundamental to, and that we're continuously building off of. But I've been saying for a minute that like if you're using your external world as maybe only like a week or 2 weeks, if you're using your external world as a gauge for your internal work or your spirituality, or if you're using your external to like motivate you to stay on the path, or depending on what your relationship is with your external reality and your internal reality and the relationship and dynamic between them, it will make certain things easier to fall into, certain things more difficult to get into. And with this hangman, it was initially like, if you're doing all of this internal work and your outside doesn't immediately change, then that doesn't mean give up on the work. And I didn't want to say it that way again. And so I was like, okay, well, let's expand on this a little bit. And then that's when it came up with all that. And I'm like, oh, wow, like, I like that. I love that. So again, I'm glad I did it. But I think that's what this hanged one is. It's the moment of preparation when something goes from potentiality to eventuality. And that's sort of the enlightenment of the hanged one as well. Right, it's a rose in this deck, so it's love in this deck because roses symbolize love, and it's lit. They got that little halo around it. Y'all can barely see it, but it has a halo around it, right? And like all the thorns on this rose are outside of the halo, so like maybe that's the part of it that you don't see. but you still want to get to the end anyway, right? It's going to have a few thorns to get to a rose. But that's also the enlightened space that the hanged one has reached, where other people will see the hangman as stuck, where from the outside perspective, the hangman can be seen as stuck. The hangman has done everything that it needs to do in preparation, right? So for the hangman, it's an eventuality. For the people on the outside, it may not even be within the realm of potential for this or possibility for this hangman. But the hangman, with everything that it knows on the inside and with everything, because the hangman knows its internal work and the hangman knows the relationship between the internal and the external, right? The hangman understands differences in density and the energetics and the frequency and the vibration. And it also understands timing and it understands alignment. And it understands that the bigger the thing that it is manifesting, the more cooperation it requires from the outside. Cooperation in the form of alignment. This is lining up and that is lining up and this is lining up. And while I'm waiting for this grander thing to line up, there are things within that I can still be doing to make sure that, again, I'm acquiring all the things that I need to make sure that I also get what I want. And when you want more, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to come to be. But it's, I guess, when you're in this energy, it's most important to not fall into like impatience. But that's what I was already saying about if you're focused on your outside, it all comes back. Okay. Anyway, so, oof, man, I wish I could like one day I might just have to do like an unlisted live and just like crop certain sections of it and then just post it as like different videos. So we're coming from this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love it. Because I forgot what card we were going into. We're going from the Hanged One to the High Sage, which is the energy of the High Priestess. If you can see him or her or it. So we have the dark moon, we got the solid moon, both of them are crescent. We have the phases of the moon. What else do we have in here? We got a third eye, and it's actually on a candlestick. So it's not even a wand, it's a candlestick. Interesting. Well, that's about illumination, high key. And we have two downward pointing triangles. So it's the feminine within the feminine. Or it's doubly, it's like the void within the womb. Or the womb within the void. It's an understanding of the, oh wow, now y'all can really see it. And I wasn't even looking at the screen, that just happened on accident. It's an understanding of light mechanics. Oh gosh, and some other things. Let's try to stick to metaphor. Moths to a flame. But instead of moths, you can either attract moths to your flame or you can attract fireflies. And if you attract fireflies, then your light grows bigger. And so this candlestick, that's not even a whole wand, excuse me, but this candlestick in the womb of the void, again, it's this hangman energy that I was just talking about. It's about knowing. It's not about believing. It's not about thinking. It's not about convincing yourself. It's about knowing. Through virtue of experiences, maybe through virtue of trust, through virtue of maybe, I don't know, what they call it, claircognizance or clairsentience, one of them, the one about knowing, right? Knowing that if you will it, it will be. And that the more steady you hold your flame, the larger the light you'll be able to attract, and the more lights you'll be able to attract, to the point where when you amass enough light, it's like the void will eject it because it's a dark space. It's almost like It's giving me some like Avengers Marvel-y type movie, but I don't know if I've seen it. But it's like there's this like a black hole or a vortex that just like spits out lights. And so it's like when you amass enough light, it's like it sounds like very sci-fi noise. I hear it, but I don't. It's like I'm gonna do it. It's like when you're charging, it's like woo, and then when it spits you out, it's like pew, right? So it's like woo, pew, woo, pew. I feel so silly, but that's fine, right? Woo, pew. And it's like I'm seeing this void, just like all of these lights just shooting out of this thing, and that's this right here. But again, it's like if your light is flickering, it's like it's like when you're watching a movie, or if you've ever been in a dark room and someone's like, follow my voice, I'm right here. Like, I'm like, where? Like, I'm over here. But it's like if you only talk every 5 minutes, then it's like, girl, well, how long was that person walking in the dark before you say something else? And are you moving as that person is moving? It's like there's a lack of consensus and direction. And when your light is flickering, if your light is drawing something towards you, then it's like when it's a steady light, you know where it is and you just keep going in the direction of the light. If it's a flickering light, or depending on what the why did PWI pulse width modulation just pop into my mind, depending on what your duty cycle is and how lit you are, girl, um, it will determine sort of where it makes it more difficult for things to find you when you're not consistently lit. It's easy, right? And so the more lit you are, the brighter you are, and the more steady your light. I feel like honestly, it's about the steadiness of this light more so than the brightness, because it's like you're attracting fuel to the fire to make it even brighter. And again, once you cross a certain threshold of light, it ejects you. And when it ejects this light, it's like it makes it possible for you to experience. And that's another thing about sort of running multiple. Why did simulations come to my mind? But it's a thing. Another thing about running multiple timelines at once, because it's like you can only really live one life. But even when you live one life, it's like when people say, like, there are more important things to be worried about in the world, and it's like, okay, yeah, true, but also don't we have the capability and capacity to worry about more than one thing at a time? And when you can worry about more than one thing at a time, I feel like you can kind of sort of exit the space of like what's comparatively more dire than something else. And so there may be a certain energy of splitting your efforts, but again, it's like if you can hold those spaces, it'll all come to be. And that was another thing about yesterday, I think, when the divine intervention or whatever came up. Um, it was like you do this aligned action up here that leads you on this chain of events, and then there's these other actions down here that other people, other circumstances sort of do, and then you meet up at this point and then you proceed further, right? But it depends on you doing what you need to do in your spot to be where you need to be when all of these things are where they need to be. And that's sort of the divine intervention at this moment. But I guess the intervention happens down here to propel you and push you along this path to be at this moment. And that's sort of the quantum nature of things, right? Because in some way, if it ever happens, it's already happened, and it's about just aligning with that timeline where it happens, making the choices and the decisions and the whatever. Girl, we get like all sci-fi, um, but yes. What is this? Hold on, wait. This is from Tangled, right? I see the light. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Cute. Okay, look at this. I don't know if y'all be able to read it, but I see the light is. Hold on, let me flip the colors back. I see the light is playing right now. There you go. I see the light from Tangled. And it's all these like little music confirmations as I'm talking. That's why it's so important to keep the flame steady, right? And it makes it so much harder to keep the flame steady when you're focused on what the outside looks like. But that's the strength of the hangman. The hangman can fly, y'all. That's why he tied himself to a tree so he don't just float off into the middle of space while he's lightening his load, and then have people like, "What? People can fly?" The hangman is like, "No." The hangman is actually flying upside down, tied to the tree, so it looks like he's hanging. He's trying to be inconspicuous. Whatever. Okay. So next is the tower, and this is actually our last major. The last one is the tower. And the tower in this deck to me speaks of something that is ingrown, something that is inborn, and that something that then grows too large for its container because it has roots outside. And with this having roots outside of the container, it's like there are these subtle energetic forces that are expanding it, stretching it, calling it to go outside. And when it grows too big, just like, if the eggshell had any sort of um, consciousness, and I guess I can't say that it doesn't, but if the eggshell had consciousness, right, how would the eggshell feel when the chick breaks out of it, right? Now, let's say that the eggshell is your consciousness, but the chick inside is also your consciousness. And it's kind of sort of that swapping the cassettes. Oh my gosh, now I'm getting into that other class. They're like gene cassettes, right? Anyway, it's like you're swapping the cassette. So either you're going to be this eggshell that is trying its hardest to keep itself together and trying its hardest to keep whatever is trying to come forth from inside of it inside. Or you could be this chick that is trying your hardest to break out of this containment that is sort of fighting you for some reason. And it's like either way there's like a struggle, either way there's a fight. But I feel like you could sort of like be the eggshell until you are the chick that is ready to break out, and then it's like your consciousness switches from the eggshell to the chick, and now you're living this whole life outside of the eggshell, right? And the eggshell is like on your linear timeline, it's your past. But if you've swapped cassettes, it's a whole different reality. It's a whole different realm. Like you become like you're the chick now instead of the egg. So again, on your linear timeline, you had this egg phase where you were the egg, but in a quantum way, that egg is a completely different existence. Girl, I did not expect the heart portal to be this. Like this, I would have expected like third eye maybe level going into the crown. And I don't know why all of this is coming out at the heart, but that's the thing about the heart playing the mediator between the lower three chakras and the upper three chakras is that it balances, feeds, and integrates all of them, right? It's like Tiferet at the heart of the tree of life. It's like the heart in the literal body that pumps blood to literally every organ in the body. And heart comes in to be oxygenated and it leaves. And then it also comes in. Hold on, how does it work? Because you got four, right? Arteries go away from the heart. And so the arteries carry blood that is oxygenated. And so the veins would go to the heart. And so the veins would carry deoxygenated blood or something like that. It does this sort of filtration cycling thing between it. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised if we're getting some upper elements also with some lower elements tied to the root and the solar, excuse me, more specifically in your foundation and how you act from that foundation. And then we end up with the Two of Wands, which again is that crossroads, is that picking up a direction, being a new light, maybe attracting other lights. What is that? To you as well. Oh, that's just the bottom shine. Okay. Ooh, girl. What are we looking for? And then the Eight of Wands is right behind that Two of Wands. And I love that. What am I looking for? The Six of Coins for generosity. Okay. Man, that was a little tangent that I did not expect. And then here's the Six of Coins. Thank you. Thank you. Girl, we saw you yesterday. I'm glad this is the less aligned side now for generosity, because if I would have seen that yesterday, I would have been like, what? Or if I would have saw that as more aligned, that came out yesterday with the solar plexus, and I literally just mentioned the sacral or the root and the solar plexus vibe. Bottom right now we have death, which is all about that transformation. I think that's being open to the ebb and flow. I feel like that's being a more active and involved participant in the game of contradiction. Where we're limited by our ability to carry multiple things at once, which is honestly limited by our ability to receive direction, right? And to trust it. Because if someone's like, hey, oh, I unplugged my laptop, girl, she's about to die. She gonna die. I'm sorry. I forgot. Come on, don't die on me. Don't die on me. There we go. That happened like yesterday or the day before. Oh, no, I don't want to get these like reversed. Oh, wow. Cutting to the high sage and the moon when all of that went down. I think, yeah, this is right. Okay. If we got reversals, I'll just turn them back up. And I love that the high sage in this deck is a candle, because that's a light in the dark. And it's not necessarily enough to illuminate the darkness completely so that it's daytime, but it's enough for you to work with. Starting with the Nine of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the pillar at the bottom of this. Four of Wands, Nine of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the pillar. Again, that's something worth fighting for. Things worth fighting for are things worth protecting, or vice versa. And anything worth loving, in my mind, especially now, is worth fighting for. So to anyone that I've fought for, that's fine. Oh, see, here we go. The Seven of Cups in reverse. I always got at least a few cards. Now here we go. Now here we go. Arno. Ooh, who was that? 10 of coins then fell on the table and turned reverse. Goodness. Well, this is this is more aligned. And this is about generosity. So I guess you get what you give. And you give what you give. This is interesting. So the moon and the high sage were just at the cut together, right? Now the moon and the high sage are separated by the title card. So there's an extra layer of mystery and intrigue. So yeah, I'm going to end this after I get all these out, and then I'm just going to come back live and start the next one when they're all out, because like usually it's fine, but that was like extra rambly. It's like that I know something you don't know energy. It's like, but you do know it, but you don't. It's like you do, but you don't. It's like you know, but you don't think you know. Or it's like you know, but it doesn't look like you know. And so now you don't know if you know, but you actually know. And so there may have been some confusion in there. Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So yeah, definitely may have been some confusion. Because it's like, well, like, but like if this is, then why did, and, but it's like, chill, just go with the flow. Listen to your heart, allow it to be open, allow it to guide you, even if it's guiding you back to places that, you know, you ain't been in a minute. are places where maybe it was a little sour. But sometimes when you let chemicals or compounds sit, they break down a little bit, and sour can turn into sweet. Also, that is not to say that, like, I don't know. Use discernment. There are certain things that I feel like maybe we kind of sort of feel called to. But again, with your discernment, it's like, I don't know. Also, I've recently learned how to enjoy myself again. I know I said a few days ago I was struggling, but I turned on my video game, and I've been liking it. I'm getting back into the game. I'm playing Persona 5 Royal, and I already played Persona, but they've added enough to the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? There was this one area. So there's this one area of the map that had like 2 very tough enemies and 1 like intermediate enemy. But in this new addition to the game and the retelling of the story, they've added a grappling hook. So you can grapple hook right to the top of the tower and not have to fight these enemies or navigate around them and then like take this long drawn out approach to get to the top of the tower. It's like you can grapple hook, and be right at the top. I was like, what? What, girl? Oh my gosh. And then they had this cool little cinematic. I was like, work. Okay. So now we're going to be looking for mistrusting is the 7 of Swords. The 9 of Coins and the 7 of Cups and the 9 of Cups are at the bottom. The 9 of Coins is about being dependent within oneself. The 7 of Cups in this deck is about choosing the options that you never would have allowed yourself to choose before because you weren't healed enough to choose them, or seeing beyond the veil of illusion to the truth or to the things that you actually want, not allowing yourself to be distracted by base and carnal desires anymore. And then the 9 of Cups is about getting that wish fulfilled, but you're getting that wish fulfilled because you're now making choices that are more aligned with who you know yourself to be, right? And then we get this Death card and this 3 of Swords, and that's what's going to be what transforms and changes all the heartache of the past. Again, like yesterday, when you allow yourself to embark upon these brand new opportunities to prove and validate to yourself how much you're actually ready. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. We did this wrong. No, mistrusting is the moon. Mistrusting is the moon. Okay. It was the 7 of Swords, but then I changed it to the moon. Because I was like, no, the 6 of Coins was right, but I don't have 2 minors. I almost did this without a major. Okay, so we're looking for the moon card. I'm glad I caught that, because, oof, for real. I'm so wrapped up in, like I said, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm overcomplicating things today. It's like things are changing, things are different, things are fluid, and just go with it, right? Just go with it. And here's this moon card that we were looking for. So it looks like the sun is actually going to be the top of the deck, ending this off. And it is. The sun is the top. Ooh, okay, girl. You know, we can't have the sun falling out of orbit, because if the sun fall out of orbit, it's taking all the planets with it. Because we all center and revolve around you. So if the sun is going into a black hole, girl, maybe some other body will come in and snatch us before that sun just take that plunge. But I think that's, I mean, if this is about the heart space, I think that's something that maybe some people from our past had or thought that they had the capability of doing. It's like if you were overly dependent on them or overly dependent on their light, and if they went through a dark time, then it's like they kind of sort of dragged you into it as well. And it really sort of took you out of a space of holding your own power. Because it's like, not only did you give your power to something or someone else, but when it dragged you down, or when it got dragged down, it dragged you down. And it just like, I don't know. I don't even know if you allowed yourself the opportunity to be like, well, why do I have to feel bad just because somebody else is feeling bad? And this isn't like, you know, I'm getting more of a toxic type of vibe, right? Because it's like it's not for us to not have compassion and understanding and hurt when the people that we care about hurt, but at the same time, it's like somebody else shouldn't want to dim our light just because they're going through it, right? Like I'm not the type of person, or I try not to be. I don't think I am, but maybe someone else can tell me otherwise. I don't think they will, but maybe they can. Like I'm not the type of person that likes to drag people down when I'm not feeling good. So that's why, especially in the past, when I would go through like a depressive episode or something, I would just distance myself from people. Because like I don't want you to feel down because I'm feeling down, right? And that's why sometimes I would like dodge Emily a little bit. She'd be like, "You're avoiding me." I'm like, "Yeah, I am, because I'm going through it, girl, and I just need to process some stuff right now." Then we have the three of coins coming out with the two of coins. So again, this is allowing certain partnerships to tie you up, right? And maybe some of these weren't really worth you. Oh my gosh, the moon is right here. Oh. Hold up, wait. Yeah. Okay. I think this is the second time that the card over here came out really close to the bottom of the deck. So the bottom of the deck is actually going to be the Three of Pentacles over here. So it's interesting with the heart, when it comes to mistrusting, we have the Sun on the more aligned side, and then we have the Three of Pentacles on the Three of Coins on the less aligned side. And I think, again, like I said earlier, the thing about being mistrusting is that when I was initially going for the Seven of Swords, it's like I know the Seven of Swords is usually like deceptive and thieving, but it's like depending on what we give, depending on what perspective we run with, depending on the filters that we have placed in our reality that result from a wounded heart, there we run across the risk, we come into the risk of not seeing a light in the true brilliance and radiance of what it is, right? It's like if we're looking at everything through rose tinted glass, if we're looking at everything through rose tinted glasses, then it could soften some things that are harsh, but also it could miscolor some things, some better things as well. But like instead of rose tinted glasses, let's just say you have shade tinted glasses because your heart has been so, because you're so wounded and you don't want to go back to those places anymore. You can see the title card came out because it's like dark right here where everything else is light. Yep, that's the title card. Ain't no hiding that. That's why I was like, ooh, the title card came out behind the moon too. So that's doubly like, oh, not necessarily, oh, we'll see. But this is less aligned. So do I want to? Yes, I do. It'll make it easier for me. So, hey, like I said, we ain't got to overcomplicate it sometimes. Sometimes we can simplify. I just switched cassettes. Did you see me switch cassettes? So this is more aligned. This is a blue, green, blue, or a green, blue, green, right? We're switching cassettes. I love this. This is the first time we're doing this in this series. And sometimes you just got to be open to it, right? But like I was saying, if I can recall, and I don't know if I can, I was talking about the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, I lost it. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to shut this down here. I'm going to call this like the getting to or whatever. And then I'm going to come back live. And I'm going to link this in the box for that. I think I'm going to make this unlisted. I feel like there were some gems in here. And so I won't actually make it unlisted. I'll just leave them both up. Okay. So what do I want to end this with? Now I got to record a whole nother video. That's funny. I am a little hungry, but and it's already 3:30, girl. Oh, this happened yesterday. I got out of bed late, and so I started recording in the afternoon, and then it was like 3 something when I got off, and then But it's fine because I haven't been just enjoying myself. I think I am. I'm just going to enjoy myself today. I'm going to play some games, try to get some good food, maybe watch some anime with my brother, and take it easy. I don't know why I was like, I don't know what I enjoy anymore. I don't know how to just take it easy. But last night and the night before, like I said, I got back on Persona 5 Royal and I was like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. And I was listening to music when I was doing it. So it's like all of the background music was Spotify, but the dialogue in the game was still the dialogue. So that was very, very fun. Um, so yeah, I'm not gonna be too down on myself. I know everything is gonna come to be when it comes to be. If there's one thing that's been highlighted to me, it's that I'm not dumb and I'm not stupid, but if I try too hard to make something happen before it's time, I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. And there's something about timing where it's like I can't force anything to come faster than it comes. But if I work when I feel led to work, then it's like everything will be done in the time that it needs to be done to get there. And again, it's not that I shouldn't have been working because now everything is done. There were just a few things that I needed to go back in and correct and fix. And again, if I didn't have such a complete, if I wasn't constantly working on it, it wouldn't have been this complete. Um, but it's contradictions. It's that's it. That's what I'm getting comfortable with right now. Getting comfortable in the contradiction. Um, and maybe that's another Hangman energy. I actually like the Hangman. The Hangman and the Moon are two of my favorite cards, honestly. Um, and I feel like maybe it's because I wasn't necessarily outcast because I know how to fit in with people. Um, but it's like I feel like a lot of times I hold a perspective or I look at things in a way that other people may not necessarily look at them, and I find a sort of oops, I find a sort of connection to that energy outside of just stuck, right? And I mean, if you look at me from the outside, it's taken me like my first semester was August 2011, and now it's August 2020, and I still don't have my degree. So from a certain perspective, it could look like I've been stuck and stagnant, but also like the internal work that I've done has been so rich and huge and fulfilling. The opportunities that I've had and the things that like the opportunities that I've been granted and the opportunities that I've sort of, I don't know, it's like everything is a part of it. And there's so many amazing and wonderful people that I've met in my extended stay that I wouldn't give up for the world because it's been so impactful to who I am and how I am and what I've learned and the impacts that I've made in this world through the people that I've impacted. And I feel like it would discredit all of that. And I wouldn't dare do that for me to continue to be like, oh, well, like, you know, I should have had this done by now. For in order, it would like I don't want to discredit all of the wonderful, amazing opportunity and impact that I've had and that's been had on me by being down on myself for not finishing this in a traditional time frame. Because again, everything comes in the time that it's meant to. And as long as you are engaged in the moment, you're never wasting a single one. And even if you're not engaged in the moment, if you ever get back into the moment, you'll probably find you never wasted a single moment. It may have been outside of the initial realm, but maybe there was a bright period in the darkness that will shift how you move forward. Or maybe on the light side, you needed to enter a period of darkness to gain some appreciation, to gain some sort of chutzpah, some sort of cojones, or not cojones, but you know what I mean, to get a little bit of bite behind your bark so that when you enter back into the light, you can incorporate both and find balance, the light and the dark, but the dark written or the light written in the dark in the darkness. Oh, I love that. I love that. I knew I was drawn to this side more than that side because I was like a period of light and darkness. I don't want to go back to darkness. But over here, through the design of this title card, we've actually ended up with a sort of balance and integration, more, believe it or not. right? Hmm. I kind of sort of like that. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say. Um, I think I might go actually eat something real quick, and then I'll come back to this. And so, I'll be back when I'm back. So I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. Maybe be open to flexibility right now, and don't be afraid of contradiction. And I think another thing about accepting contradiction is that it allows duality to be what it is without needing to collapse it upon a single point, right? So contradiction allows for there to be good in the world, and it allows for there to be evil. It allows right and it allows wrong. It allows bright and it allows dark. It allows red and blue. It allows cake and pie, right? It's not just like, oh, there is no good or bad, wrong or right. It's all a matter of perception. It's not like, there is no red or green or blue or yellow. It's all just color. It's not, there is no ice cream or cake or cookie. It's all dessert, right? All of those things are what they are. And I think, again, it kind of sort of runs into my issue with unity consciousness and the way that people look at it. Because my issue when people talk about unity consciousness is I feel like sometimes it dulls. I feel like sometimes the way we look at unity consciousness is it forces this world of color and vibrancy and diversity into a grayscale, right? And my thing is like, I can honor and recognize the divinity within you as kin to the spark of the divinity that is within me. But in my incarnation and in your incarnation and in the physicality of everything around me, I feel like it would take away from the beauty of all of that if I reduce you to another aspect of me. And honestly, in my mind, it's not necessary. I don't find it necessary to see us all as one and the same, to treat or to know that I should treat other people with dignity and respect, right? And I think the same can be said of like the whole, I think it's time for us to change our relationship with polarity and duality. And that's why, like, I know it's sort of semantics and the connotation behind it, but I like duality more so than polarity because I feel like with polarity, it's more polarized, it's more extreme. But duality is just accepting the dual nature of things, right? Heads or tails, it's one coin. And that's living in that space of contradiction. But again, I feel like when you live in that space of contradiction, you open yourself up to living multiple, sort of running multiple realities at the same time, or whatever. It's like you're able to pull from more. Anyway, I don't know. I hope this made sense to y'all. This is why I do this stuff over here instead of like on my legacy channel, because I feel like over here it's just like I can go into this a lot deeper than over there and not be like, oh, I still say sometimes I preface stuff by saying, oh, I'm weird, right? But this is how I'm seeing it. But over there, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's different. It's different. Okay, I'll be back soon. Um, ta for now, TTFN, like Tigger says. Also, okay, yeah, I'm about to be real. I'm about to be honest, and I'm about to be vulnerable with y'all. Don't judge me. I mean, honestly, I don't care if you do, but please don't. And again, I don't know, judge me if you will. So I got this Tigger toy. It's like a stuffed Tigger that I got when I was 2 years old. So it's like 25 years old now, from my godmother on my birthday. And growing up, whenever I would sleep with Tigger, I would have nightmares. And I told one person about it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like you need to cleanse that thing. It sounds cursed." I was like, "I don't know why Tigger would be cursed." And that was a few months ago. But I recently brought it up, maybe last week or the week before, And someone gave me a perspective that was like, well, maybe when you were growing up, it absorbed a lot of like negative energy because you were so attached to it, right? And I think that actually happened, and it didn't like it made sense when I heard it, but I didn't hear the full impact of it until like a few nights ago when I was like, wow, because like Tigger would be the one thing that I would have back here with me when I was crying for whatever reason, when I was struggling to accept my own sexuality, when I thought I would have no, when I was struggling to accept my disability. Like there are so many heavy emotions that I poured into that thing because it's all I had, really. And it's not all that I had because I do have a very loving and supportive mother and family, right? But they were like the thing about accepting my sexuality, like that wasn't something I was going to take to them before I was ready to stand in it because, girl, I would have been who knows where. I don't necessarily think conversion therapy far, but it it would have definitely set me on a different trajectory. That would have been not claiming my truth and authenticity and power and all kinds of that stuff. So by the time like they found out, I was already solid enough within me, thankfully. But again, that kind of sort of speaks to how I handle a lot of vulnerability. I'm open about a lot of stuff, but the most pressing stuff I kind of sort of tend to keep to myself, or I tended to keep to myself. Um, and it's reaching the point where I don't want to have to do that anymore. And since I know that I don't want to have, like, since I know that I am actively wanting and I'm allowing myself to want people in my life that I can be actually vulnerable with, where in the moment I can be like, hey, this is something that I'm kind of sort of struggling with. And I want to be met with support in those moments, like actual support in those moments. But again, in order to put myself in the space to have people like that, I have to be vulnerable. And sometimes the vulnerability comes before the person. And again, it's like, have boundaries and know whatever. It's not like I'm about to go pouring out everything to everybody, but I realize and recognize that if that's something that I want, at the same time, I'm going to have to be vulnerable. Um, And so I've been sleeping with Tigger intentionally for maybe a week and a half now, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know, for some time now, and I haven't had any nightmares. Um, and again, it's like I've accepted that, or it really hit me that I poured such heavy things into it. So now I don't know. I'm trying to take it back from Tigger because even though Tigger is an inanimate object, I feel like it's not fair for me to just like have Tigger holding all of that because it was a lot. And also at the same time, I don't need Tigger to hold that for me anymore either. Thankfully, I can take it back. You know, I wonder if low key Tigger was like transmuting some of that for me. Like I said, Tigger is inanimate, so maybe the limitation of its transmutation is, maybe it can't transmute a lot, but it did hold some of it for me while I went through all that. So I don't know why I felt like sharing that. T I double gut I don't know. And he's always like the wonderful thing about being a Tigger is that I'm the only one. Maybe that's it. Wow, girl. Maybe I've had these sort of like syncs and just like things with me since I was young. Because like that's what Tigger would always say. The wonderful thing about being a Tigger with a T, goodness, is that I'm the only one. But then you see in that one movie, Tigger is sad because he's the only one, and then he think he finding more Tiggers, but ain't no more Tiggers. I don't think. I don't know. I only saw like bits and pieces of that movie because it just so happened to be on TV, and I was like, wow. So now Tigger is actually sad about being the only one. But then he found out that he still has a family, and then like Meet the Robinsons, what is my favorite movie. Hercules is it's not necessarily one of my favorites, but I guess it is because it's the movie that I've seen the most. Hercules kind of sort of got me through my freshman year of college, low key, not gonna lie. Because I guess I poured all of my um, isolation and heavy feelings into that movie. I guess I kind of like sort of pour that stuff into stuff or into something else. I don't necessarily pour it into people, or trust. I didn't trust people with it, honestly, because I'm very particular and I can be very ambivalent and I can see multiple sides of things multiple times or like almost all the time, right? And so whenever I'm processing through something, it's also interesting. And honestly, I didn't trust people to comfort me or handle me in a way that was actually productive to me when I was going through something. And so that's why I prefer to go through it alone. But that's more stuff that I am gladly in the space of giving up. Because again, even though I ain't gonna necessarily throw all the tea out though. Ain't no tea to really throw out there, but even though I haven't necessarily experienced the fullness of what that is for me, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, for some reason, for some reason, but I know that it's out there for me. Um, and so that's why, just like knowing that it's there for me is enough for me. Like, okay, yep, done. And I don't know. It's just like when you know, I guess, with the hanged one and with the high sage, when you know. And sometimes we can allow our own logical or emotional or rational mind to come in and be like, well, why would I feel this? Why would I know this? What basis do I have for this? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know why I know. And I honestly don't feel a need to question it at this point. Um, you know, it's weird like that sometimes. But anyway, I lost it again. Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting because I've grown up with a wonderful and amazing and supportive and loving family. A very like even outside of my immediate family, like even my extended family, especially growing up, like it was all about family. Like we would meet up and play cards at like a lot of times they would come over here. So us being the children when it was our bedtime, it was still like growing up with that just like in and around the house, but still feeling so like isolated and alone at the same time. Which is why I always found it interesting that like Meet the Robinsons was my favorite movie, or that I gravitated toward like Hercules the way that I did, being someone who was surrounded by a family, and not just a family, but like a loving family and a family that is all about family. And then having this Tigger that I was given when I was 2 years old and pouring all of my loneliness into it and stuff like that. And maybe it's because, Tigger understood, you know, being the only one or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting the contradiction that we live in sometimes. Okay, all right. I'll be back later with this. Bye.